I can't believe it. I can't believe we're almost halfway through the season. After this week, it is the midpoint, and I also can't believe, Eric, that we called it. I wish I would have called a scratch off or something else, but we called last episode. I didn't even realize until I looked back at the title of episode 13, and it said Nico will transfer, and my spidey senses were right, and sure as shit, it happened. Because guys, he has 2 years eligibility if he pulls the cord, and it's exactly what he did. You're not going back to Colorado and Arizona just to see a foot doctor. There's foot doctors in Pittsburgh. So, Eric, what do you think? We're right, and you're right about the fact that, Hoppy was getting shit on 3 guys. You and Hoppy are right on the same page with year 0 for Rich Rod. So, in a week, man, we're looking like superstars.
Let's not get too used to it, but yeah. And honestly, I think we actually called it the show before. I don't think it was the last show. I think it was the one before. Mm-hmm. But yeah, looks like no, we got a lot of stuff to cover. But so we called Nico, and I think we both kind of figured, 4 games in, you can't get too far in, and you lose your opportunity to redshirt. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I got a question there for you to follow up on it. But you got anything else to add there?
No, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, he thinks going back to high school. If you watch that game, which I watched during COVID, before I moved in my big house, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment that was attached to a warehouse for like 6 months waiting for my house to get because of COVID. And that's where I was sitting with the kids, hunkering down during COVID on a TV, watching Nico, high school Nico, will his way to a victory on ESPN. And I get chills thinking about it because it was one of the top 10 sports moments of my life watching. Up there with Steve Slayton and Pat White, up there with the Statue of Liberty play with Boise State. I mean, it was inspiring. It was like watching a Disney movie. And that is the kid that 3 weeks ago had West Virginia willed them to a victory over Pitt, was pulled, came back, and made it happen. And made it happen, I'm going to tie it into what you said, with leftovers. With leftovers that Rich Rod picked because he didn't have an opportunity, a full season to get these guys, to kind of vet these guys and to kind of see exactly how they would fit into his scheme.
Mm-hmm.
The team he has on the field now. I'm not quite saying they're the land of misfit toys, but it's pretty close. This is a team that beat Pitt. On paper, Pitt head and shoulders better than West Virginia. And Nico took this team that he was pulled for a couple quarters and put all these other guys in. And he came back in after he could have just came in and just like take a couple snaps, take a knee. Hey, you pulled me. It is what it is. We lost. But he didn't do that. So this guy's a winner. He's going to go be a winner somewhere else. He's a class act. I said last show that Rich Rod was ripping him a new ass.
Oh, he did.
Coach ripped him a new. The other coach was being really disrespectful, and he just sat there and took it. Class act, good kid. I can't say a bad word about him. So it is what it is. But I'm sorry, I went down my rabbit hole. But
you don't get me started. It's a good rabbit hole to go down. I think everything you said there is true. I wish Nico nothing but the best. He's been a great Mountaineer since even before he got here. You're right. The state championship game where he led them to the comeback was absolutely insane. As far as high school football goes, that's up there with like any game you'll see in Texas. Is phenomenal.
And he said, I don't mean to interrupt, but he said country roads after he won that high school game.
Yes. When they were interviewing him, and he did a shout out to Mountaineer Nation, and he sang Country Roads. I mean, the kid is absolutely a great, very intelligent, a great ambassador for any team he's going to play for. But he's just not the right quarterback for Rich's system. I think he could do good things with a solid running back in the backfield. But even then, I think with the limited performance that we've gotten from our offensive line, you're really asking a lot of someone like him, because you see the difference between him and the running quarterbacks like Henderson, Khalil, Scotty. That first few steps is so critical. And that's the difference between fast and quick. Being fast is top end speed. Being quick is getting there in a hurry. And Nico just doesn't have that part. But I wish him well. I really do.
No, I mean, I really do. And, Hoppy was, our three guys was right on board with what you were saying a few weeks ago, and I didn't think about it. I really didn't think about the fact Rich Rod didn't have a full year and the window's pretty much closed and it was just leftovers. And it's not going to Gabe's. It's going to Gabe's clearance bin. Like one sleeve might be a little higher than the other, but it also has a hole. You know what I mean? So that's what we're dealing with. Hey, Larry, we got Caden, Larry, we got Afton and Coop in the house and about 8 other folks. So, hey, appreciate you all in here. But, so BYU's on the menu tomorrow night, 10:30 game. It was brought up, the scheduling. Why don't they schedule East Coast teams together at a reasonable time and West Coast teams together at a reasonable time? That is a really great point that I didn't even think about. I thought, boy, you could actually do that. I mean, it would be a scheduling nightmare, but there are enough teams that you could do that. And they have enough games on Saturday that you could just schedule those on Saturday. If you're going to have a Friday game, have them be West Coast teams, or have play at 7:30 on the East Coast. The 10:30 is tough. It's a tough time.
And I don't know what's driving that. I know that it seems like TV is still experimenting with this whole more this more national model of conferences where geography just is forgotten about as if it's not a real thing, and that's dumb. Why in the world you would disenfranchise half of your viewing audience from the game makes no sense to me. But Mountaineers, not only are we always free, but we're always tough too. So we stay up a little later, watch a game, not a problem. We can do that. But put 2 East Coast teams on for the first game, and then put 2 West Coast teams on for the second game. It's the way they used to do it. I'm showing my age here now. I'm a grumpy old man. It's the way we did it for years. By God, keep it that way. But yeah. So, but the thing I'm really glad for, to be honest, and here's where I sound like Hoppy again. Well, why not? Two old grumpy guys. I'm glad that BYU's in the conference. I'm glad we get to be in the same conference. There's a lot to appreciate about a program like BYU. Their stadium is phenomenal. Oh my God, that is outstanding, Afton. Thank you. Their stadium is beautiful. That venue is gorgeous. Wait till you guys see it tomorrow. Anybody who's not watched a game televised from there, the mountains are beautiful. But can we jump back to the quarterbacks?
Yeah.
And I added an S there because we talked about Nico, sent him off with well wishes, and I think that's well deserved. No bitterness. He comes back to town. I'm certainly going to want to shake his hand and talk to him to see how he's doing. And quite honestly, I'm a believer, and you can't hate the player. You got to hate the game. He's just trying to do what's best for him and his future. I don't know that playing on Sundays is necessarily in his future, but I also wouldn't say that it's not. So he's got to figure out what he can do best for him. Along those same lines, I'm going to ask a question to everybody listening in. What do you think about Henderson?
Jalen Henderson, for my opinion, I think he's actually a good option.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a little banged up. I think that's the biggest issue right now, and I think Coop has. I think they're not ready for
Khalil. I gotta agree, Coop. The nice thing about Khalil is that Khalil's just so. He's a slippery runner. He's very elusive. He does have Pat White-like running abilities. But I don't know. Has Henderson played in too many games? Is he eligible for a red shirt? I thought he's on. I'm not certain because I didn't get a chance to go back and look through. I thought he'd only played in 4 games. It's interesting to me that he would be injured. Not saying that he's not, but it would be interesting to me because he really looked like he was struggling in the last game. That first series, I felt bad for him. He looked disastrous. Wouldn't wish him anything but the best too if he should decide to redshirt. But I kind of lean, and I got nothing to say. There's nothing I know. I don't know anybody. I'm not talking to anybody at the the stadium. I just found the timing curious, and understanding that he's not the clear cut quarterback for the team either. Just makes me wonder. What do you think? Uh-oh, did I lose you?
I'm gonna have to reboot my router. Sorry, I keep fading in and out. So, anyways, no, I really think that might be contagious. Maybe that he has the same, the same injury that Nico has, and might want to kind of take his ball and his bag and his cleats and go somewhere else. But I think that Rich Rod has been repping 4 guys this past week. So with that, I don't know who you're going to see. And they've been pretty quiet about who they're going to play and who's starting. Has anybody in the chat seen anything different? Because I don't know what's up. I mean, I don't know who's going to play.
I'd love to hear from the chat what their thoughts are. Coop thinks that Khalil's our dude. Word on the street here in Morgantown is that it's going to be Khalil.
Yeah.
If that's the case, man, that's a big ask for a freshman. That stadium's huge. There's a lot of fans there that are going to be, making things rough on him.
Yeah, I can't compare this stadium to anything from 10 or 15 years ago. Not a Virginia Tech. Doesn't have that feel. These West Coast schools, the old Pac-12 schools, and it wasn't even a Pac-12 school back then. They have their own kind of vibe, and it's different. It just is totally different. The fact that West Virginia has to travel, and the Three Guys podcast likes to get into the distance and that travel, whether it's the second, whether it's the farthest or the third farthest. It is a 2-flight flight. There's no direct flight to Provo. You're going to have to fly somewhere and get a connecting flight. It's tiresome. And, we've talked about this before in the show. Football players aren't average size dudes. Average size dudes are me and you. Anybody between 5'7" and 6 foot, those are your average size humans. Cars are built for that. Doors are built for that. Chairs are built for that. If you are bigger than that or smaller than that, everything is uncomfortable. Whether it's a table, whether it's a flight. Just saying. I mean, it's not gonna be a comfortable flight for these guys, and that takes a little bit of something out of you. I mean, energy wise, mentally. So
let alone the altitude, and we
gonna get to that. Yep.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I'll hold back on that, but you mentioned size. We mentioned the last time. These especially especially your linemen. When you look at the percentage of the population that's over 6'4", which Okay, let's not go that high. But at 6'4", you're talking 1% of the human population. So you're right. Like in that. So really wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
Nothing is sized for these guys. They're going to be crammed into places, and yeah, it does take a toll on you.
Yeah. So even if they're banged up, a little sore, when they get off that, I mean, my kid is 5'10", 5'11", and after a game, he has to sit in the front seat because even in the back seat of a 4-door truck, his legs were sore. He wants to stretch them out. So I'm just
Oh,
saying, guys, that's something that's a big deal. Let's think about that. Okay. So here we go.
well, hold on a second. Afton just said her dad's 6'4". Does he have any experience in the offensive line?
Yeah. No.
Does he have any eligibility left?
No. Yeah, that would be nice. We need to put him in there. So let's not forget the air is a little bit thinner there. So they got to prepare for that. Altitude is not something you really can prepare for. I went out to the Rocky Mountain National Forest or National Park 10 years ago. We stayed at 10,000 feet. And that's just not something you get used to. I mean, you get used to it. But, even in Afghanistan, same type of thing. You eventually get used to it, but you can't get used to it in a week. It takes a couple weeks. So I'm just saying, guys. So anyways, like Nico, he stayed with us when the entire team left under Neil Brown. Paul, that is a point that I was going to make, and then I forgot to make it. That's exactly it. Class act, was with West Virginia from, 5-6 years ago, stuck with them through thick and thin, got a great win against Pitt. 3 weeks ago, he's the hero. He's still a hero in my book. He's just taking his ball and going elsewhere because he knows that he's not the guy. He's not the type of guy that can lead a Rich Rod team. Whether because he's 230 or because he just doesn't have that, like you said, Eric, that twitch, that type of twitch. He's still fast, but not quick. But hey, Caden, thank you for the $5 super chat. Shane, Eric, you guys always have great shows. I think there's a Natty Championship dream game, and it's happening next year. I don't know about next year, but Rich Rod said next couple years.
Yeah. Thanks, Caden. So we're all over the place tonight. My word, we should have taken our Ritalin. So Rich did bring up national championship talk. And as ridiculous as that sounds right now, it shows he's thinking in the right direction. And it also, I think, was a great way to say, hey, everybody, let's calm down. Let's tap the brakes here. Things aren't great right now, but we have a plan. It's going to take time. And that I'm going to jump back to one more thing, and that is we talked about there being a cycle every year because of the Wild West that is now professional college football. Every year, it used to be that you had a player and you could work with that player and develop them over the course of 4 or 5 years. That's not the case anymore. Every year you've got to, as Neil Brown pointed out, you have to recruit the players that are on your team, that are currently on your team.
Yeah.
And so, whereas that's not as hard, when they're on your team, because they're there, you're working with them every day, they get a firsthand experience. The problem is they have agents now. And so other schools are contacting these agents and they're having conversations. Now that player isn't allowed to, you can't interfere there, and that's fine. But here's the thing. In this new world that is professional college football, and this really all started way back, eons ago, but in particular became really apparent with like the advent of EA Sports. And you started seeing the college football games come out, and they had all these rankings. Now that even prior, versions of football, computer games had those kind of rating systems built into them. But with EA, it was very accurate, just uncanny. And That's where, I know I started learning how they know this. And it's they watch tape. They watch tape like crazy, and not just game film. They watch anything out there. And thing with the advent of things like Max Prep, we were just talking about that before the show. We were having breakfast this morning, 5 a.m., getting ready for the show. And between that and game film, these there are organizations out there that put all these scorings together. And so basically, you have a database out there of every player, what position they play, all of their stats. And so the notion that if you're running a specific scheme, let's go with Rich Rod, and Rich Rod's looking for very specific players, because one thing we mentioned before is Rich isn't looking necessarily for the same guys that Alabama and Georgia is looking for. He's looking for the right player in the right system. So he can put very specific things he's looking for in terms of performance, speed, power, you name it. And you can do a search on these databases because you can subscribe to these outfits,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find 4 or 5 kids that'll meet exactly what you're looking for in a player.
So you're
Now,
saying
instead of
there's agencies out there, guys, that literally do this. They cut film, they digest this, and they literally give you, coaches will say, I want X, Y, and Z, and they'll say, here are 10 players. So you don't have to have someone on your staff do it. Right, Eric?
yeah, because it used to be so, and like these outfits that do this, who's subscribing to these? Well, everybody from news reporters, sports reporters, coaching staffs, gambling out, course, gambling outfits, all of these, because this data is incredibly valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be that you had the old timers with recruiting, with like, I like the way this kid looks. He's tall and lanky, and he's just got that fire in his eyes. And it's like, what does any of that mean? How does that even translate into this game? What kind of receiver is he going to be? One of the funniest things I've ever heard, gosh, I just lost his name. A lineman who played many years in the NFL, and he played his college ball, I want to say like at Harvard. And he said the only reason I got into the NFL was because I ran like a 4.8 or 4.7 40. And he said they didn't know a thing about me. I played ball in Ivy League. No one knew anything about me. He said, now, when I got to the NFL, the one thing that was virtually useless as a lineman was my 40 speed. He said, but I learned other things and I really worked hard, and so it worked out. So anyway, the idea that you can hone in now on this money ball kind of new approach to sports, to athletics, where you can specify, in this position, I need this kind of player with these kind of stats. You can search for that player. You can reach out to their agents now, and now you can figure out what's it going to take to bring that kid here. And so now, just like with Moneyball, the movie, and if anybody wants to learn a little bit more and get entertainment at the same time, Moneyball is a great movie to watch, and so is Draft Day. Although Hollywood isn't known for being, gospel truth, they are usually a pretty decent reflection. And so you can get a good handle on how athletics are doing this now. And so the notion of how did we get to where we are today? Well, it's what was left in the bin, because everybody else had been talking for a year and they already had things lined up. And so before Rich even came here, those kids were already spoken for. I'm going to start calling them players, or athletes, because that's really what they are. But the thing that's still, for the most part, honored, when coaches leave, they don't usually try to steal the entire class that they had coming to their old school with them. That would absolutely destroy their old school that they were coming from. So they try to honor that, but they will bring a few. And so Rich did bring a few players here. Cam's a great example, and he's certainly working out well. But Rich is already working on next year's team now.
Fred Perry's another one that they brought over.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, he's been lighting up on defense.
Those are all great points. So the chat, guys, You guys are killing the chat. So Scott's saying, I feel like Rich Rod is stuck in 2003. Going back up a little bit. Thanks for the super chats, Caden. I don't think a national championship is going to happen next couple of years. But, so I saw Paul in the chat. Joey Foster's in the house. And Tim Green. Here's the thing. It's a new day and age. And Rich Rod, I think I have a pretty good feeling that he understands the dynamics on how to be successful, because he was successful at a smaller level last year. Started 0-3, took him a couple years, but he got that program moving in the right direction. He didn't have, it's like end of the month, don't have any money for, groceries yet. You just, what do you have? You got to make something with what you have in the cabinets. It might not be the best thing, but it has to get you by. And that's what's happening, guys. The cupboard's bare.
100%.
Are depleted. They don't, penthouse dreams, outhouse budget. They do have a little bit of money left from last year. They didn't just spend it all. So next year, ballpark is around 30 million. So 30 million will get them a decent competitive player staff, or what do we call them? A group
roster?
Team. Is it a team? They're mercenaries is what they are. But
they are.
The Mountaineer Mercenaries. So that would be a great name instead of Mountaineer Mercenaries. So, these guys, so we're going to get to the chat. I'm going to read some of these chats, and we're going to,
Hey, Shane, can I stop real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
So based upon, Scott had a great point up there about feels like Rich is in 2003. I keep hearing some things, and I just want to point out some things to folks. If you'll give me just 1 minute. Sure. When Rich got here back in 2001, I think it was, he made a comment that the cupboard, that Don left the cupboard bare, which I think was unfair. Don did not leave the cupboard bare. We had a lot of great talent for Don's system, which was vastly different from Rich's. So, and the best example, and I'm sorry, I know I'm talking about things that most people won't remember, but because it's 25 years ago. Brad Lewis was a quarterback, and Brad did just fine in Don's system. But in Rich's system, he was awfully lead feet. It just wasn't going to work. That you're exactly right. That's where we are right now. And a lot of people are expecting that there's going to be this Pat White moment. There's going to be this moment, the Steve Slayton moment. I would love that. Could it happen? Sure, it could. Is it likely? Well, it didn't happen in 2001. We got curb stomped in 2001. Rich's first year, it was 3-8, and it was a miserable 3-8. The Pat White moment, the Steve Slayton moment took 4 years to happen. And I think we're in for, I don't think it's going to take that long. I think they were very wise because they knew they're coming in at the end of the carousel. A lot of the horses were already taken. So what they said is, we're going to do this on a budget, and we're not going to spend a lot of money on somebody who isn't going to be that best horse. So you combine those things. Yeah, I think we've got a lot to look forward to. Does that mean you give up on this year? Absolutely not. Do we have the chance to win a few more games? Heck yeah, we do. And I hope that for the fans watching the games, keep an eye out for the talent that you see doing things that are good. And that's everybody. The offensive line, defensive line, don't look past them. All these players you see, those are guys to keep an eye on, and we can watch and learn. And especially with what Rich can do with bringing in talent. I mean, Shane, awesome point. 30 million, he can do a lot. So
flashes of hope. They're going to be able to guys like CJ Donaldson, because you showed a great video to me. You sent it to me earlier. Bumpers need to be put on college football, because in the day and age, college football is the Dollar General to the NFL's Walmart. It hits the nooks and the crannies where the Walmarts aren't. And it can be a powerhouse, generate money, but there has to be some guidelines, because it will literally implode. It'll get so top heavy. It'll be like Major League Baseball sucks because you have the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots are never going to compete. The
Oakland
NFL,
A's, yeah, Moneyball.
There is that balance, but you guys are talking in chat about Gold Blue Dude. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, Joey, I was just thinking about him the other day when I got these sunglasses here. Right? Huh? So I was thinking about
sexy,
Chris.
very sexy.
Put those on, but no.
Hey, thanks, Caden.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Kate. Caden's killing me, man, with all these super chats. So, Caden, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to send out a link, and you guys can ask some questions. Anybody wants to come on the show at about the 40-minute mark, we're going to be open up to everyone. So, Tim Green says, Paul, I agree. I picked us to go 5 and 7, maybe 6. Yeah. That's the thing. We talked a couple weeks ago. Vegas is right. Vegas in the beginning of the year said 5 wins. That's about the max. If the Mountaineers get 5 wins, we both agreed we'd be happy. Right now, we're not looking for a bowl. We're looking for splashes of great plays. Maybe a couple plays where there's some hope, where there's a spark, where that guy looks like he might be the guy of the future. That's what I'm looking for. We're looking for, okay, that running back looks like he can develop into a good player. Or that offensive lineman, oh man, he stayed on that block for a little while, gave him some time. Maybe a completion here, maybe a couple series where there's a first down, followed by another first down, maybe a field goal. Little victories, guys. But Paul says Utah had a 4th and 2, threw the ball for a touchdown. No respect for the program. Neil had up 41-14, took a knee. Yeah, hope Rich Rod remembers that one day. Yeah, Paul, I hope he puts the hammer down if he has the opportunity. Yeah, I did okay, let me go to your super chat again. So Caden's saying that there's going to be a natty, and it's going to be Ohio State and West Virginia.
Oh, man, I love that.
I don't. Now, the only time I thought West Virginia could have beat Ohio State was that 2007 season. Because
I was going to say, that's where we were headed.
Ohio State team, and that was one of the best West Virginia teams. That was a suspect Ohio State team, and that was a good West Virginia team. That would have been the only one. But I did put that up. You just weren't paying attention, Caden. But we'll talk about that when we get you on here in a few. But Joey's saying, look at the game experience. And this is where you find the hidden gems, the Pat Whites, the Pat Macks, the Daryl Tallies, and others. Yeah, this is I don't want this to be the minor league program. I don't want this to be the C.J. Donaldson stopping grounds for the Ohio State. I don't want this to be okay, I'm building my resume to make $1 million at blank university. I want this to be the stopping point for the kids to cash the checks.
Shane, I'm going to throw something out at you. And I know I'm the old guy here. I'm playing the curmudgeon. And I keep talking about Rich Rod 1. Mm-hmm. In the summer of 2006, I think it was, we had over 1,000 coaching members come to Morgantown to camps that Rich was offering, where he was teaching his offense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
The thing that killed us, Rich was young in his career, and he had aspirations. I don't know if he stays or not back then, because there were some differences of opinion between him and the administration. And there was always contention there. And eventually he left. He's very clear, and I think he's of a stage in his career where I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. And I know some people may wish that would happen already, and I'm like, geez, give him a break. I think if Rich's innovations take hold, given that he's probably going to want to stay here, this could be more of a stopping point than a stepping stone at WVU. Because the notion of he will have the keys to the kingdom if he shows he can get success. he's going to have the support of the boosters like never before. This definitely could be that. And it, I tell you that I know I'm predicting big things here. I think he can cook still. I think he can do some things. Give us 3 years. I think we could get there.
No, I agree. I agree. And you know, it's one of those things, guys, where it's hard to be patient, especially if you're older like we are, or maybe if some of the folks in the chat, I know you guys aren't all spring chickens, have seen the success West Virginia's had. If you're a freshman or a sophomore, or if you're currently in college at WVU, it's a little hard to, you don't know what you don't know, but there are things called YouTube, the internet, and you can watch. In the 80s, 90s, you had to was there like a highlight VHS that we could get of like the 88 team or the 82 team or Oliver Luck, or you just didn't have that shit floating around. But anyways, so I just put in the chat there. If you guys want to come in and holler at me, Caden, I know you like to pop in. I did read both your super chats, Joey. I did put them both up there multiple times. I appreciate it, brother. But Chris Mitchell saying our defense has played 8 games in 5 weeks. What do you think about that? I have to take the shoes off to do that math.
He's right.
My mind is melting, Chris Mitchell. That's true. Yeah. So, do I think West Virginia is going to beat BYU? I don't think that's going to happen. Do I hope it's competitive? I freaking really hope it's competitive. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they hang one on them. And it would be a signature victory. It would be right up there with 2003. Virginia Tech was number 3. West Virginia went into Blacksburg and put it up on them. Just punched them in the mouth. What's Joey saying? I know, Joey. I'm just teasing you. So, with that, what are your expectations for this game, Eric? Do you expect? I expect to see multiple quarterbacks. Whoever starts, they're not going to be the only guy toting the rock, handing it off, throwing it. We're going to see multiple guys, even successful.
We're going to see Scotty. We're going to see Khalil. I'm a big Scotty fan, but I tell you, Khalil is showing some great things too. So I really like both of those guys. Max, I would love to see again, but I can't help but think he didn't get a little dinged up. I think he tried to make that hurdle, try to make a play, get something on tape, and I think he might have got a little dinged up. But I think we'll see at least those two. I think it's going to be the kind of thing of, Rich is in the lab. He's trying to see, combinations that work together well. He's trying to see, who's got chemistry, can read each other's mind, that sort of thing. I love BYU's coaching staff. They are outstanding at ball control. Honestly, I think that's why the spread isn't more. Because I don't think that's just not that program style. I think they're going to run a ball controlled game. Their defense is just really playing lights out. I think they're only allowing like not even 9.3 points per game. So that's what I'm expecting, is that it's going to be BYU just is probably going to try to muscle us around. They throw a lot of passes to the tight end. I think he's got 14 targets so far this year already, which, I mean, good Lord, that's 2 seasons for most tight ends. And the quarterback, my God, have you seen this kid? He wears a linebacker's number and he's built like a linebacker. He's huge. I think his name is Bear.
That's a great name. Or Tiny. Yeah. That's a good name. But Paul said something that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of coverage the past week of Rich Rod reaching out and doing some recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
A a lot of the recruiting being done right now is behind the scenes with the agents. So I think right now, after every game, the first thing they're doing is taking their pen, writing down, "Hey man, we're gonna need this. We're gonna." It's a laundry list. It's a wish list, and they know where they're weak. It's unfortunate, but I think they're gonna fill that basket, and next year might be. I hope so. The Mountaineers are in a better situation, but with the Mountaineers being in the situation they're in now, it is good to see Rich Rod out there getting a commit here and there. And the one young man was an edge rusher. What was his name? Carter Kessler. And they got a kid named Camden Gillespie of the 2026 class, and he was a Virginia Tech recruit, but Virginia Tech took a big dump. So I like seeing them getting kids off of programs like Virginia Tech, not off of programs like Kent State, or you're picking up what I'm putting down. Those are the type of guys the Mountaineers need to be getting, not guys from Duquesne or from Slippery Rock. But nothing wrong with those programs. But
well, you'd like to see them get more from Power 5 schools than even Group of 5, and certainly more so than FCS schools. Whereas Owen Schmidt came from Wisconsin Whitewater, which I couldn't find on a map if somebody pointed it at me. Steve Slayton came from Maryland. Pat White came from LSU. That's where we got transfers from back then. I agree with it. We need a higher level caliber of athlete coming in.
So I don't know where Caden went, but usually he likes to pop in. But Caden, where are you at? There he is. There he is. Okay, Caden.
Hey.
Okay, now we might have to give you a P test because I think you've been smoking dope thinking that West Virginia is going to a natty next year.
Shane, Eric, the Diesel Freak has returned to the Mountaineer channel. How are we doing tonight, boys?
Good.
How are you, Shane?
Hey, Caden, I saw you with the pretty ladies. You're slumming with us.
Forget about the pretty ladies. I'd rather work on pharmacy here.
Okay, there you go.
And I said it in the super chat.
Yep.
It's going to happen. It's overdue, and we know it is inevitable. Ohio State, West Virginia, in the natty, it's going to happen. I don't know when. I hope
you're right.
I don't know when, but it's going to be a good game.
Well, Caden, you have a lot of time when you're out in that combine in the field, you're working to listen to games, listen to podcasts. So I'm sure you're well versed on far more things. You're far more well versed than I am because, man, I'll tell you what, I don't feel that confident right now. But let me get some of these chats here, see what folks are saying. Maybe they're picking up what you're putting down. But Paul's saying, he says, agree, West Virginia defense has played hard, even with the offense 3 and out. Losing Nico, Henderson, getting Wilkins, super blessed. Yeah, the fact that they are deep at the quarterback position is good. But Chris is saying with elevation, maybe they can finally kick it into the end zone. Oh, oxygen, guys, that's the superpower over when you're in elevation, right? So Joey Foster saying, go back to my first comment about the Michigan player. Yeah, there's a Michigan receiver that Joey's hoping that Rich Rod reaches out to and snags. Paul Gee says, hopefully, we have 3 feet of snow when Texas Tech comes, so they don't put 200 on us. Texas Tech is at AZ State. Yeah, so we got a lot of chats here. I want to get to all of them because this is the call-in show. And Texas Tech is young. That's because they're recruiting. They're like we talked about a couple of shows ago. They're spending money on young guys, and they're developing them. And I think that's the recipe for success. But Coop is back. Now, last one. We need to go to Columbus with Walmart bag and say, come on in, folks. Your leftovers. We're better than Duquesne's best players. Thus, linebacker we get from Ohio State is a stud. Yeah, so here we go. Caden, do you think Rich Rod needs to go to Ohio State, Penn State, and basically just say, hey, guys, if you're not getting playing time, I got some time for you. Got some money. A little place called Morgantown. Got some pepperoni rolls, some tummy tickles and belly rubs. Go.
In my humble opinion and honest opinion, Shane, yes.
Yeah,
I'm only saying that is because Coach Rodriguez has the resume, a great coach, and I said with him returning to West Virginia was what was really going to help this program become that elite Mountaineer program that once almost it was about to happen. Ohio State, the Mountaineers, and the Buckeyes in the national championship game. And
Absolutely.
I feel like, and I'm saying it again, and I'm calling it again. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So Joey says Shane is condoning tampering. Well, Caden, thanks for popping in. You are a fantastic fan. We love having Ohio State fans pop into the show. And hey, once again, man, love having you on. Hey, best wishes, Buckeye kisses, right?
Hey, as always, go Bucks. And I'm going to give a go Mountaineers.
Ooh,
And we'll see y'all next year. National championship, Rose Bowl. I'm calling it.
We'll see you out there, Caden.
So, guys, Caden's always fun to have on. He was on the ladies of Voice of College Football, a new show, where we have two ladies. They're both easy on the eyes, you know, and they know their college football. So, you know, this is like I said, the Collins show. So every Thursday at 8:00 sharp, Eric and I go on here, and the chat is full of fantastic fans like yourself. They're trying to figure out exactly what's happening in the program, because Eric and I are not journalists. We give our gut instinct, what we're feeling, you know. And we're not, you know, we don't have to verify it because we're journalists. That's how we gave you the insight last week, because we don't have to verify it because we're not journalists. So whatever we say is just based off of, hey, this is what we think from watching it, reading it, watching YouTube videos, listen to the real journalists, much as you guys do. So, you know, like Joey said, we're not condoning tampering, but there are lines that are skirted. And in order to, just like in NASCAR, if you're not cheating, you're not winning. You know, like if
you're not cheating, you're not trying. Shane, that's exactly where I was going, buddy. Sorry.
So there are lines you have to, no cross, but boundaries to push. And until those bumpers are put on there, the great equalizer is money. West Virginia's board has agreed to put some money on the table. Rich Rod next year will have around $28-30 million to get a roster. And I'm telling you, it's worked at Texas Tech. Program that was is now, they're tough, guys. They're going to be playing in the national championship, a Big 12 championship, if anything else, but they're going to be in the college football playoffs. Watch out. Said it a couple weeks ago. Telling you now, it's going to happen. Eric, other than Texas Tech, you like BYU. BYU this week is going to be it's going to be a rough one. 10:30 at night. In the chat, Eric, I want to ask you: are you going to be able to stay up if West Virginia?
I don't know what the over/under on that is, but it's not good. I take the under. I'm going to try, but I don't see me making it.
So, you know, with that, I want to thank everybody in the chat: Joey Foster, Paul, Coop, Afton. Oh my gosh, who else in here? Chris,
Hey.
Mitch, you know, Caden the Diesel Freak. Can't forget him. Scott Kiesel, Paul Gee. And, you know, guys, we appreciate it. Every week we're here Monday at 9 and Thursday at 8. And this is the West Virginia Call-In Show, Voice of College Football. So with that, I want to say good night. Eric, have anything for the group?
Let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go Mountaineers. Let's beat BYU.